In a world of covert ops, exploding jungles, and weaponized pheromones, one man said, "Screw your orders, I'm here to fuck and fight." His name, Sexual Tyrannosaurus. Rated R, 'cause it's awesome. Before we start, quick shout out to our non-sponsors. So we are not selling you mushroom coffee, AI therapy apps, or ethically sourced beard razors.
Unless that mushroom coffee turns me into a reptilian sex god with a minigun. Then we'll talk.
Fair. But until then, this podcast remains ad-free, funded solely by bad decisions and better beer.
Which brings us to this episode's feature. A man, a myth, a nickname no HR department would ever approve of.
That's right. We are going full jungle mayhem with the origin story no one asked for, but everybody secretly wanted. Sexual Tyrannosaurus.
And now get ready for our feature film.
In this feature, a few questions we're going to try and answer are: what kind of man calls himself a sexual Tyrannosaurus? And why did the Pentagon keep his existence off the books? Can you seduce a cartel queen, out-wrestle a python, and still make it to your classified extraction point before sundown? Is dip actually a combat enhancer? And what if a predator wasn't Rhett's first brush with aliens, but more like his retirement party?
And so it begins. Act 1.
Okay, so we're jumping into Act 1. The setup is a little bit wild, a little bit lethal. The movie's called Sexual Tyrannosaurus.
What do you expect?
So, Harrison, let's start at the beginning. Who the hell is Rhett, the animal god Cooper, before the predator happened?
Right.
Like, where do we meet him?
Exactly. And I guess, right, so we're all on the same page. This is a real character from the movie Predator, the 1987 classic, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Art film.
Yes, and Carl Weathers, and what's his face who plays
that other guy,
Tyrannosaurus, who was the governor of Minnesota,
Jesse Ventura.
Jesse Ventura. Is he the body?
He was the body when he was a wrestler. I think he was the body when he was a governor too.
Probably not. Probably so. Why would you ever walk away from that?
It's not a nickname you leave behind, except for
maybe Sexual Tyrannosaurus, an upgrade of just the body. But yeah, so he's one of the badass dudes on Arnold Schwarzenegger's team that's sent to go kill the predator. So how did he get there? How did he get picked to be in a team like that? I think that's kind of really all we did.
Waiting in line for your latte.
Right,
duh.
right, just like the dump truck of doom driver. Yeah. You never know when destiny is going to come grab you by the shirt collar and drag you along for an adventure. That may be kind of what happens to we're going to call Rhett to start. So I believe his name is Blaine in the movie. We'll get to that later maybe. But Rhett checked this beer in, or no, challenged us. He didn't check it in.
I don't know if he checked it in, but I do know that he saw it and issued a challenge.
Yes, he said, "John and Harrison, I dare to make a movie out of Sexual Tyrannosaurus."
And then you all voted for it. Thanks.
And you guys said, "We got you, Rhett." So we're going to refer to him as Rhett tonight. But not much is known about the character in The Predator, so we get to do all that. We're going to fill in all the blanks. And hopefully not infringe on any copyright stuff.
Yeah.
We're fine. It's fine. It's
probably already did.
Yeah, too late, so whatever. All press is good press.
Fringe away.
But I'm imagining, so he's in the movie you meet him, he's got a mustache, he's got no sleeves on, he's got a cool hat on that makes you think he's kind of some swampy Indiana Jones.
Love this. Getting Bayou vibes.
Yes. So I think we should open up this whole thing in the swamps of Louisiana, and let's not overthink this. Rhett is like a gator wrestling, moonshine running, maybe former rodeo champ.
Hell yeah.
Horses? Is it sea cows?
He went 12 seconds.
A state national record. He's been, banned from 3 states for what we're going to call excessive masculinity, and we'll get to play. We'll get to maybe further define that this evening, this episode. I think this will tickle my brain, and we'll see if we do something with this later. But he's got a lot of kind of legends about him. This Rhett does. One of them, maybe the most well-known one, well, I guess they're both pretty well-known, is going to be something like, he wears, it's not a puka shell necklace, because that's not excessive masculinity.
No.
But he'll have, what do we call it? A
Frosted
necklace. Right? He'll have, no frosted tips. He's bald as a baby, born that way, stayed that way. The masculinity, all the testosterone had other things to do, like make him a hulking man, didn't waste it on hair, other than mustache hair. And, but he has like a necklace on that has a one of the teeth from one of the alligators in it, John. He's got an alligator tooth necklace from Drago, which will be like the oldest, strongest alligator in the swamp.
Still hangs around in the swamp.
Right. Drago's alive, but I think the story is, he put his teeth in my arm, so I pulled his tooth out of his head. That's what Rhett will tell you after 11 beers.
At every car maintenance
or barbecue
in his town that he just so happens to be at.
That's right. Whenever some kid stares at it in line in the supermarket, he lets them know the story.
There's got to be like a local, if not larger, legend about, the bald, manliest man that has a alligator tooth on his. What are they talking about?
Yep. And when he can fix your radiator just by hitting it with his fist, and he's probably loved in this town. Right. He's the de facto mayor. He's also the police department. He's but also the most wanted man in town. So everyone loves him because he's awesome, but also because it'd be scary not to love him and be on the wrong side of Rhett.
When fear becomes love.
That's right. They're much closer than you think. Am I about to throw up because I'm excited or because I'm terrified? Let's find out. Turn off those lights. So, but for Rhett, for Rhett, I think something like. So yeah. So I'm imagining he's kind of selected for the Special Forces. Instead of him like joining up and all this stuff, like it feels to me like he's so badass but also like kind of content with his life. This isn't a guy who shows up at your doorstep. You got to go out and find a specimen like this if you want to use him for whatever deeds the government needs him for. And maybe as great as Rhett is, he did something that made his legend a little too big, that got him on the radar of all the people you maybe don't want to be on the radar of. And I'm imagining it's something like he's the only man to ever not only escape from an alligator death roll. So during like a gator wrestling tournament, he gets caught in a death roll and, Rhett, no, Rhett,
that's the end. They never come back.
And then he does some cool move where he like spread eagles his legs out to stop the alligator roll, the death roll, which can't be done. He can't stop a death roll. He does it and
flips it counterclockwise.
Exactly.
Counterclockwise,
as Rhett would say. He death rolls the alligator to smithereens. So, and this spreads out of the bayou fast. I'm imagining like an old, like it's just from diner to gas station to, it spreads out of Louisiana.
Tourists coming through to watch the gator fights,
exactly.
Bringing news up to California.
It's the human death roll. There he is. Oh my God, his head's so shiny, his mustache is so big. He's such a glistening, hulky man. But so this happens. This legend of Rhett grows pretty quick, and the CIA or whoever also sees this, and then some mysterious shadowy figure is like, "That's our man." And I'm imagining like they show up in a van and tranquilize him with an elephant tranquilizer. That doesn't work. There's an amazing scene as he's got 5 trank darts in him as he's falling through a table in a bar. You won't take me alive.
Still chugging his Narragansett.
That's right. He's got booze coming out of the tranquilizer holes. He's pulling them out, throws 2 back into the agent's head.
Fills him up with his own boozed up blood and gets the agents drunk by reverse darting them.
He flexes them out of his body, and it's full of booze blood.
His ABV so high, I'm all fucked up.
Oh my God. And they have to do a nets or something, knock him out with a hammer, whatever. They figure out how
a hammer.
How to get Rhett down. And he wakes up and he's in the army now, John. Or
that's how you join. We call it a recruiter.
That's right. That's right. Gotta hit my numbers. Gotta hit the quota. We got a big one coming in from Louisiana today.
And like I like what you said. Like it's 80s. So
yes, that's true.
This is
Good
like
point.
pre-80s. So
Right.
this is before Rangers, before operators. He
Right.
was just recruited by the Army Special Forces.
Perfect.
That's it. That's all the information you get in an 80s movie.
Yes, you do, and that's enough. And we kind of see that, and yeah. So he's taken away in a van or a helicopter or whatever, and wakes up at Fort Ticonderoga or wherever.
Where the pencils are made.
You're either on pencil duty or you're doing push-ups in the rain. What'll it be?
Camp McCall. Camp McCall is where
Okay.
he would probably
Got it.
he would wake up.
Got it.
And now that he's in the Army, and now that we learned a little bit about him, let's get to the point that probably made this the feature film tonight.
Okay.
Why is he related? Why is he tied to like sexual Tyrannosaurus? Like,
Right.
is this a literal thing? Is he part?
Right.
Is
he part
is
Tyrannosaurus?
Did something else happen in that reverse gator roll?
I was gonna say, right? They got really
He
close
mated
there.
with the gator
Yes, that's right. It was DNA changed, as did the gators.
because it died,
It's super dangerous for many reasons.
but it was pregnant.
It was worth it. Pregnant with it. Yeah, we can have another nugget nectar situation. A sweaty John Cena alligator baby. I don't think we're going to go that direction tonight. But thinking about this last feature with Boots and Buckles, we didn't do an origin story on purpose, but now we are doing an origin story.
The whole movie.
Right, that's the whole movie. So it makes sense, I think, to have like the sexual Tyrannosaurus. This be something we kind of build. This is the legend we're building today. So I imagine, as happens in tons of movies, like at the beginning, maybe he's in like boot camp or something.
Everyone's got a boot camp,
Exactly
even
right.
if you were drugged and taken to the army.
Yeah, they're gonna make you run and sweat and pick stuff up, put stuff down, and do whatever. Clean the toilet with the toothbrush, whatever. Do that stuff that you need to do in the army.
Move the toilets over to that barracks. I'm not a plumber. I'm an infantryman. You're a plumber today. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
You'll need this someday.
Right, a lot of resume building. And so that's all happening in boot camp. And Rhett's, obviously by his lifestyle, a pretty old school guy. Again, he's punching radiators, he's wrestling alligators, he's just old school. And maybe we'll get into this. Is he too manly for any woman? Is it like Superman having sex with Lois Lane and I might kill her? But we never learned
Only
that.
Clark Kent, please. Only Clark Kent.
Exactly. Keep the glasses on or I'll die. Clark, no. Hold the glasses. Oh, Lois. She just disappeared. It's a puff of pink smoke. Keep those glasses on, Clark. But so we won't go that far back with Rhett, but I think it's easy to say, or suffice it to say, that maybe he sees a pretty nurse on the base, brings her some flowers, and she like politely shuts him down. I don't date, men on the base, whatever. That gets around quick to this guy who everyone thinks is so macho, can't get a date with a nurse, and brought her flowers, blah, blah, blah. You women love fast cars and fast guys, the old dinosaur. And maybe it's it's derogatory to start. It's demeaning. He is older than everyone else in boot camp. He's already a grown, masculine, muscular man.
These are 18-year-old boys. That's the hardest part about basic training is just surviving getting picked on.
Right.
And Rhett's, what would you say, late 20s?
At least.
Early 30s?
Yeah, exactly. So he's been around.
Just below the cutoff age.
Right, he just made it in. So they're making fun of him, calling him a dinosaur. It's not good that he's earned this nickname, but he doesn't care. Again, he's not a child. He used to drown river rats like him for breakfast. He kind of lets it roll. And doesn't care about it. But
That's
that's
little maturity.
Right. He's a little mature, but also like he's got bigger fish to fry. Maybe at this point they've already let him in on like, you're here because we need the best of the best, and we need people to do things no one else wants to do. And
you just have to learn how to march 9 to the front, 6 to the rear. You just have to get your marching down a little better. And I didn't want to say it earlier, but those boots could use an extra shine.
Right, there we go.
So,
Perfect.
I know you're the ultimate killer, but those boots are a little bit toe up, you know what I mean?
There we go.
So we can skip through basic training and then take me to, I want to get into what's like the first mission that so Rhett skips getting assigned to an infantry platoon.
Yeah.
He goes right to special forces. He's working with a squad of a few guys, just like it is on TV, exactly like that. Plain clothes, mustache. What's his first like? Where are they sending him to do? This is like your break-in mission, right?
Yeah, and let's drop him into South America. Let's get him
Perfect.
somewhere that'll be in the Predator. So he could be in Colombia, let's say, and similar mission. He's trying to rescue some agent, a CIA agent that's down there. In over his head. Yep, lost contact. It happens. Like a kind of clear and present danger type situation. There's drug cartels and all kinds of dangerous things down there that only Rhett can navigate, and a lot of alligators. So
True.
Rhett's an expert of alligators.
You can take point, Rhett.
Oh my god. And so, but I think when he gets down there to kind of play into the Predator universe a little bit, maybe he sees more than just kind of drug runners and drug shops and stuff like that. Maybe there's some mysterious, potentially alien artifacts. He could even learn about like a cult that's down there that's
Definitely
worshiping, something like ancient reptile people, stuff like that. But things that are surprising to Rhett. But again, it's not a man. He's even keeled. He's not too high, not too low. He kind of just takes the information in.
And you're a soldier now. You're not paid to think. Just go get the CIA
get
agent.
the guy. And so
there's people down here with dinosaur skin. Shut up. Just keep soldiering.
Exactly right. Find
that's
this
normal.
Agent. I'm sure that's normal.
That's how they are here. You uncultured.
Don't judge them the way they live. If they want to believe in giant reptile people, that's fine. We're here to get Bob. We gotta get Bob out. Yeah. Bob's got a family of people, not reptile people.
Not unlike you, soldier.
Who may have a half reptile, half gator, half human child at home. We don't know. So Rhett has to punch and kick and fight and maybe flamethrower his way through this drug cartel to get to the agents. You get to see awesome action stuff happen and him punching people and arm wrestling them to death and things like that, kicking them and their heads fly off. It's going to be great. And gets the CIA guy, gets him out. And I wonder if also trying to again think about when we know what happens in Predator and we know what Predator wants. The Predator wants to hunt the best predators on every planet or everywhere they go.
He's Joe Rogan of the universe.
That's exactly right. Maybe it'd be kind of fun for the audience to see, or maybe even in this instance, Rhett to kind of sense something else in the woods. We can hear the cool Predator drum music play for the first time. And we kind of see like a half invisible cloaked Predator ship following him around, and he says something like, "My swamp senses don't lie. We're not alone in these woods."
Shut up, dinosaur.
Old man, you're hearing things.
All of his whole squad is like 10 years younger than him.
Exactly right.
He's the lowest ranking guy on the squad. Biggest dude. I imagine he's totally out of uniform regulations at this point.
Oh my gosh, his sleeves came off some. As soon as he landed in the jungle, they were gone. I'll write you up for this. He just grabs the guy's pencil and crushes it in his hand and then eats it.
There's 30 soldiers in Fort Ticonderoga making those.
Exactly right. I'll let you wrap me up after I shit it out. Okay, Rhett. Whatever you say. So, yeah.
So I like the idea of like dropping little hints to the Predator ship. This is a prequel.
Yes.
Maybe he's getting kind of a weird vibe about it. No one believes him. He's got, let's give him a couple of he's got a couple of missions. What's the vibe of these early missions? Are we going like Austin Powers, fun and funny, or is it more like Rambo, first, second, and third blood?
Right. I wonder if we could split the difference and do kind of like James Bond if Bond had swamp ass. Trailer Park Bond, swamp Bond.
Timu Bond, Swamp Bond.
Yes,
Swamp Bond.
Exactly right. So lots of explosions.
Loves martinis.
Well, I think instead of that, he's martini with extra martini. Give me 2 bush lights and another bush light.
Not shaken.
Yeah, exactly. Shake him, will kill you. Okay, sir. And yeah, so he's arm wrestling people. He could have a sidekick like Bond. Maybe he has some swamp pig. So it's not a human.
We'll kind of not like Bond, but
surprise. He also has a super intelligent truffle pig that helps him when he needs to. He could even he could train them to, instead of truffles, explosives. And maybe if someone's telling the truth or not.
An ex-CIA pig. They did their work on dolphins with
That's
LSD.
right. Yes.
They also
finding mines. Oh, they have a truffle
they
pig.
took truffle pigs and taught them to find explosives.
Yes.
And if they don't do their job right, then you just eat pork.
It rains down bacon on everybody.
So I love. Okay,
Smart,
we'll see
doubly
how,
smart.
How
Saves
much
their lives
he plays in,
and
but
as a meal. We may never hear from Major Truffle again, but
Major Truffle.
yeah, that's the pig's name.
He's not feral. He's active duty.
Exactly right. It's not the canine unit; it's the bacon unit. Which,
So what about the dip? I mentioned this a little earlier.
It's a big part of Predator too. His
And
character.
Dip. For those of you younger, dip is like Zin, but
Yes.
way back in the olden
Yeah,
times.
looks like dirt.
Yeah, and you can't swallow it. You have to spit, which is
Yes.
kind of a nuisance.
Right,
Usually,
right.
you could tell someone is a dipper because they have a Mountain Dew bottle,
Right.
full of gross,
Full of gross
and they
breath.
keep the lid because they have to reseal it. Otherwise, it smells up the whole jungle. So
It throws off the truffle pig.
the truffle pig is
Just running around
useless.
in circles.
So give me off the top of your head, what's the origin story for the dip?
Yeah, it could be something like, I mean, sure, maybe it's like, he has a vision quest on another trip to a mission in Peru, and he meets a shaman.
Love it, love it.
And claims that this keeps the demons away
Long
from
cut
you.
only.
Right, but it turns out it's just mint Copenhagen, John. But Rhett swears it makes him feel like I'm a 6'5" walking, talking Red Rocket. It makes my heart hurt, but my brain happy.
That is
Feel my muscles.
pretty accurate.
That's right, exactly. Oh, I can feel my blood.
Just pure unadulterated tobacco leaf with mint.
Yeah, so the dip's there, dip's happening. He's spitting, dipping, punching people's faces off, and being super awesome. And so, yeah, so that's probably a good this mission as he's in Colombia rescuing the CIA agent. He gets out, he saves the day. All his fellow infantrymen are like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I made fun of you. Rhett. You saved my life 9 times down there in the jungle. Don't mention it." And has to have a scratch on him. Everyone else is all beat up, but not Rhett. And so they fly out of there. But it's just the beginning for him. But that's probably a good time to jump into Act 2.
That takes us through his origin story, his origins in the military. We'll see you in a moment with Act 2.
And now we begin Act 2.
Jungle Boogie and Blood Contracts. Welcome to Act 2. Now, Rhett has become something of a legend. Harrison, you were just talking about all the guys that calling him dinosaur are now almost like worshiping him.
Yes.
And at best, he might let Major Truffle take a turn with him. But Rhett's not interested in this. He is the first operator.
There we go.
What's the mission that, like, he's learning, but what's the mission that really, like, cements him, like, breaks him in as a do or die special operator?
Yeah, maybe now he's a sergeant or whatever. Now he's running his platoon or his squad.
Which might just be Major Truffle. But
Right, yeah, sure, exactly right. The pig comes. The pig's not negotiable. This is not army issue anything. This is some weird CIA op with this pig. He likes this pig a lot. You and swamp animals, Rhett, do I have to worry about you? Gets pulled into his major's office. You and that pig would share a bunk, I heard. No, he just likes me. He likes me. He'll say
Sleeps better that way.
We smell the
both
same.
do.
We smell the same. That's right. Okay. Well, just keep an eye on that. Keep things professional, Rhett. So, but I got papers came in. We got a real problem over in Layhouse, but we're sending you in. And so it's a new operation. We're gonna call this. You're a name guy, John. What's a good operation name to go? There's a rogue general, let's say.
Love it.
He's using. Oh boy. All right, let's do this. He's trying to destabilize a bunch of villages in the Laotian plains, rice paddies, not using bombs, but pheromone bombs, John. So it'll be a great name for an operation to stop an evil communist general.
We're in Cambodia. We got a commie general trying to get villages to make sex instead of rice. The major's giving him the assignment, pulls out the manila folder.
Yep.
Operation Red Dong. For communism, you sicko.
Right? Did you say Red Dawn?
It's for
Dong.
communism. Red Dong.
Because of the communists. And Dong is, well, you know.
It's close to what Vietnamese call their money.
They're perfect. Rhett, right on the money. I love it. So that's where Rhett has to go, and he's dropped into layouts, sneaking around in the jungle, doing what Rhett does best with his truffle pig, with Major Truffle there, and gets to one of the villages, maybe just as one of these bombs is going off. But I think this could also start maybe building into the sexual tyrannosaur legend that
Love this.
everyone in the villages start to kind of fall in love. Has the opposite, not the opposite, has a different effect on Rhett, where he's already an apex predator. His pheromones are stronger than the scientifically
So he's
manufactured
caught in the
ones.
blast radius.
Right? He's getting hit, but it's just bouncing off him, and everyone in this small village now starts clinging to him, climbing on him, trying to make out with him, take off what little clothing he has on, which is distracting as a man who's trying to.
Does he succumb? Is he derelict in his duty for 5 or 20 or 3 hours?
right for a weekend? I don't think so. I
You
think
got to really get in with these villagers.
that's right. I think he's too focused on the general, because at any minute he could have the hut door kicked in, and he's down, his pants around his ankles, about to get taken out by one of General Dong's henchmen.
At least he's not a major.
Right. Yeah, no way.
I'm looking for Major Dong. You saw Major Dong.
You're in the wrong country. Good luck. So I think he doesn't succumb. He's zero in on the mission, but once again, he discovers, like, maybe in some caves, some writings outside of town, whatever, more drawings, just like in Colombia, of these ancient kind of dinosaur-looking people. He's the other side of the world now, too. So this is all kind of building into clearly something bigger, some sub-story maybe happening underneath, where Rhett again and again has been dropped into places with this history, the shared dinosaur people history. But again, he's in there to go take out this general and save all these villages and stop communism, because it's the 80s. That's what we're doing. But he's got his pig, maybe more people.
Okay, you mentioned the pig. We're in Red Dong,
Yes.
and I know you're pulling on this
Red Dong.
dinosaur people thread, but I want to. So he was able to withhold. He was able to be a gentleman during
Correct.
this pheromone blast
Yes,
and
he
sex rave
survived.
village. Is there a love interest? Like, has anyone come close to taming the tyrannosaur, the dinosaur?
Right. I think so. And maybe we meet her right now as kind of part of the team that's there to try to figure out how to stop these pheromone bombs. Can we make an antidote for these poor people that are now just banging in the street and they're all
sounds
dehydrated?
horrible.
Right. Well, it's dangerous in the heat.
They don't have a
John.
lot of clean water, otherwise it'd be heaven.
We're gonna have an outbreak of all kinds of STDs if we don't stop
Good
this.
point. Fair point.
So they pull in an agent. I'm imagining like a Russian woman.
Great. Perfect 80s.
Right. They're working with the Russians. We'll let everyone at home figure out why. We're not going to answer that question, but maybe, what's a good name, John? Give me.
Well,
Give me
of course,
something.
you want it to be Svetlana or something like that if she's Russian.
Right.
We could make her a double agent.
Okay.
So she's Russian, but she's working with. She
Got
says
it.
maybe
Got
she's
it.
a triple agent.
Yep,
She's
we'll see.
hard to pin down.
In many ways, in all the ways.
Valentina.
Ooh,
Valentina
nice.
Mox.
Valentina Mox.
It sounds 80s.
Mox, and Mox is almost Moxie.
Yes.
Which is a manly.
Yeah, well, she's tough.
She's tough.
She wears almost like a picture of the Catwoman, and then give her like belly button length blonde hair.
Wow.
Coming out of her leather hoodie, which is
Yes.
pulled down, bright red lipstick,
course.
shadowy eyes, but like no makeup, just
Got
pretty
it.
much like really pale skin.
God, of course.
Incredibly toned,
Yep.
tall.
Tall.
Tall as all get
So
up.
tall.
And somehow in heels.
Always in the jungle, walking around in heels.
She might have a whip as a weapon or
Definitely
something.
has a whip. Speaks 10 languages.
Yes.
And her heels are deadly. Not just sexy, they're dangerous.
She puts the stiletto in stilettos.
That's right. The still is in still bodies.
Yeah.
In stilettos all over the ground.
She puts the still in still body, the calm in calm water, the cold in cold ice.
That's it. That's her. She's a dangerous, icy scientist lady.
Bit of a legend herself, Valentina Mox.
That's right. So she's going to collide with our sexual Tyrannosaurus. And maybe he does maybe something clicks. He's apex predator that is Rhett sees kind of a beta lady / maybe alpha lady is immediately attracted to her. But much like Rhett, she's also kind of all business. And maybe even there could be some amazingly 80s scene where they have an arm wrestle off for some reason.
Perfect.
Maybe he challenges her or she challenges him.
She does. She would challenge him.
Okay, got
She wants to demasculating him is the only way for her to win.
For her to win. So maybe, he asks her out or something in the middle of the jungle. And she's like, if you could beat me at an arm wrestle, sure. And he's, of course, takes the challenge and loses.
Ooh.
But it doesn't, I don't think this dense.
She goes over the top.
Of course, over the top. Just like Sly would. And yeah, she wins, and it doesn't destroy Rhett. I think he more respects it as he gives a knowing smile, throws in more dip. he just eats it, right? What am I thinking? She threw me off with her beauty and her hair and her heels. They're covered in blood. The blood of our enemies.
Every woman he's ever met in this country is throwing herself
right.
at him.
That's true too. The pheromone
this
bomb
is the
work
one
on
that
her.
isn't. Of course, it works that way.
Of course. So she's here too, helping out, being kind of a scientist / spy agent, as Rhett is cleaning up these towns and trying not to have people dry hump him to death. Which he kind of is mostly just pushing these people away.
Always got a crowd.
Find each other.
I started wearing 2 pants.
It's so loud. It smells horrible hair.
Their hands are so quick.
I gotta put my sleeves back on. It's getting dangerous. It's getting wet.
And so we've got a potential love interest building that happened over a failed arm wrestle for Rhett. But the dude out gator rolled a gator, so this probably is at least kind of chipping away at his brain.
A little bit. He likes the challenge, though.
And also, the character Blaine in Predator, who Rhett's going to become, is pretty well known for a minigun.
Yes, he is.
Which is a gigantic gun that spins around and shoots really fast. If you've never seen one, it's a phenomenal piece of engineering.
It is.
And it's impossible to hold and fire by yourself.
I was going to say, a human shouldn't be walking around with them. They're designed to be like on the side of a helicopter. And I think that's a great call. I think we can build that into this legend.
Kind of the origin of the minigun.
Right.
Yeah.
And it happens just like that. During he enters one of the villages, General Dong's there. He's got to fight him. A helicopter crashes. Everyone dies but Rhett. He rips the minigun off the side of the helicopter and just starts mowing people down holding the minigun, which is terrifying just seeing that.
Full 80s.
But he's just ripping through the jungle, turning everything to Swiss cheese. And just, holding it there, chest hair glistening in the hot Asian sun.
Let's push it even further over the top. Okay. It's ridiculous that one man can singularly hold up and fire a minigun. Give him even more.
I think, let's do more. He could even grab like a flamethrower off a dead soldier.
Perfect.
In one hand, he's got the minigun, the other hand he's got the flamethrower, so he's melting people and shooting people, and it's 80s and awesome, and there's a guitar solo happening in the background. He's super sweaty, his mustache looks great, and he's just laughing, doing dip as he takes down an entire regiment of enemy soldiers.
So this is hard. We haven't talked about Major Truffles in a little bit. We got turned down by a Russian girl, the only one that Rhett's been interested in. What's the emotion kind of going on here? Is there any real stakes to this? Like, Rhett seems like he's unkillable. Is there anything really kind of bothering him, or PTSD setting in or anything like that?
Probably something like that. I mean, I could imagine this whole kind of series of we got to fight General Dong's men, village to village. Rhett, you're the guy. It's like he keeps surviving. Maybe a lot of people around him are dying. He's losing friends. The guy who made fun of him called him the dinosaur, dies in his arms. It's small. Now who's the dinosaur now? It's the only one of us is extinct. And he dies. Rhett's a dick to him. No, he's not. Rhett's the man. So yeah, there could be a lot of an emotional roller coaster happening here. Maybe so much so that like one night Rhett just grabs his machete and walks into the woods to try to get some perspective on things. Maybe find a gator he can talk to or wrestle and clear his head. And I think as this is all happening too, I keep bringing up all these dinosaur people.
Yeah,
this
I knew it was coming back.
Cult around the world. I think the whispers are growing about that around the camp, and maybe as he's walking, he overhears, the CIA folks and Agent Mox talking about it, and he's curious about that. Listens to him, so, maybe he overhears something to the effect of like, they think that, like, the chosen one is returning, and we can't let the cult believe that. They'll get too strong. They already have General Dong under their control. Like, if this cult goes international, we won't be able to stop them. So this cult is a problem, and
His
Rhett didn't even know
original
about
the
this.
original mission still haunts him.
Right.
Incomplete.
Exactly, yeah. That where it started in Colombia is coming back, and so maybe on this walk he kind of like it could.
Let's even, you know what? Let's, with the rumblings of this cult coming back in Colombia, and you said the CIA's there.
Yep.
Let's take Rhett out of Cambodia and emergency redeploy him to Colombia.
Okay.
Which is going to set in this kind of fear that's building up in him even more. But I say movie. We can just fly him back to, if you want to go to the cult, let's bring Rhett to the cult.
Okay, perfect. So that's where they're headquartered in Colombia, and so they're kind of ready to finish your mission. And we went there. You got Bob, but you learned a lot about this cult. That's the real problem. That's why Bob was there. He was trying to learn more, but he got overtaken, got overrun. We got to send you back. You're the one that knows the terrain. You got to go in there. You can bring one person and one pig.
The pig's coming.
The pig's coming. The pig's always coming. But maybe he's like, I agree, but Agent Mox is the one. And so Mox is surprised, but also maybe
she
not.
obliges?
I think she does. Maybe she immediately initially is like, I'm a scientist first and an agent second, and those bloody stilettos tell a different story. And as she keeps trying to push back, he pulls the old, I've only been beaten by one person in the world at arm wrestling. I'm looking right at her. I need you by my side to take down this cult.
This is such a touching. I'm picturing like a love ballad starting to play in the background.
Yes, as he's drinking 2 beers.
I'm forever yours.
He's stone cold. Steve Austin's 2 beers together and chugs them as he's telling the story.
Slow-mo scene of the beer glistening off his faithfully.
And Agent Mox finally complies and decides to come along. So now they're in Colombia behind enemy lines again, and it could even be that like they get surrounded immediately by the cult. They get there, we heard your helicopter for miles. Like we knew the CIA would be coming back once their agent found what they did, and so both Rhett and Agent Mox get captured, but separated.
Ooh.
And maybe as the cult is capturing them both and they're looking at Rhett, one of the younger cult members is like, it's him, he wears the necklace of Itazama, or
perfect,
the Dino Queen.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
So the Drago, the necklace that Rhett has on of the alligator, they mistake that to be some dinosaur tooth. They look the same. The alligators are dinosaurs. And so he's like being brought in now as like the next leader of the cult against his will.
Getting a little Indiana Jones vibe here. I love
This
this.
is very Temple of Doom is happening. But Agent Mox is hostage, and they're threatening, like, we'll kill the woman you came with if you don't do what we say. You're needed for this ritual to bring about the new age, whatever, cult stuff, cult things.
Yeah.
This giant egg man. We believe in the egg.
This is just a Dino Queen version of
different
the
cult.
egg.
Different cult.
They're gonna probably do something with her uterus and
or his deuterus.
We'll see. He's the reincarnation of the queen that's gonna lead the cult. And I like the torture. Can you here's a kind of, we used to do this thing called a wild card that we did once.
Okay.
So here's a quick random wild card while before all this happens and he's just being tortured for fun, because that's what cults do when they capture you. Can you give me like just a quick explanation of how he is able to resist the torture that this cult is implying on him with all of his Rhett Bayou powers, man powers, maybe even seduction powers?
I was going to say, he could be using all these things. He could be seducing people. He could be, they could even try to cut him with a knife and it doesn't work. The knife breaks on him. Bring in a bigger knife. Bring in the electrical, the car battery. and the battery overheats and explodes. So they're trying to hurt Rhett. All he's doing,
he's like radiating pheromone like a guy that walked through Fallout for 3 years.
Exactly. He's radioactive and pheromones.
He's pheromone active.
It's pheromone active, which is making a lot of the people in the cult feel all kinds of fun things, which are mostly normal cult feelings of, all right, it's Tuesday, it's my time with the cult leader, but now they're all like, oh, I want to see what Rhett's got working with under that mustache.
He's so handsome.
Why are we hurting him? We could be bathing him.
Try and lick him clean.
Take a bath together. We can all be bathing together with Rhett. What are we doing? Why are we trying to hurt this man?
So he flips the script,
Yes.
becomes the Dino Queen, and learns that the cult is going to do something with Agent Mox's uterus.
Right. And that's all he's focusing on. It's like, I got to get them to get the handcuffs or untie me for long enough so I can fight and punch the people in the face and get out of here and grab Mox and go. And I think that's almost essentially what's happening is they're like walking up to the throne and they sit him down. He's got a cool alligator headdress on now with a bunch of scales and all kinds of things.
He has returned. He has returned.
And Rhett's kind of looking around as this is happening and sees one of the guards with like a gun and some grenades and just yells, "I have returned. Well, really the only thing I'm returning are these grenades." And he jumps off the throne, grabs the grenades, throws them into the crowd, and then action rolls out the side of this cave, and a bunch of these people blow up, and most of them die. And I think he, at that point, again runs around, finds Agent Mox, and as they're escaping, all seems good. But of course,
it's never good.
It's never good
when you're escaping from a cult.
That's
In
right.
fact, when he grabs Agent Mox, they're left stuck, cornered in Agent Mox's cell with a gigantic, the cult leader.
The cult leader, a monster of a man, a 6'10", also glistening, bald. Dude looks kind of like Rhett, but even bigger.
South America Rhett.
That's
but taller.
That's right. Smells like coffee. Is super glistening. And so now again, as the audience, we're like, oh crap, how's he gonna get out of this cell? How's Rhett gonna live? He has no guns, no weapon. He's basically naked except for this cool headdress. So what happens? They have a good old fashioned, fist fight. But of course, you can't beat Rhett really at anything, any weapon, even if it's your hands.
Unless you're Agent Mox.
Unless you're Mox and it's an arm wrestling match. But she's the only one, because she went over the top. This guy, this cult dude, has no idea what's about to hit him. And I think this is when we get to see the return as they're fighting. And maybe I see the cult leader's got him in a headlock, and you think Rhett's going to tap out. And as he's reaching to up, and it looks like it's going dark, he just kind of smiles and winks at Mox. And then quick as a whip, turns around, grabs the cult leader by the head.
Counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise death roll. He death rolls the cult leader so fast his head pops off.
Nah.
And Mox screams, but in kind of a sexy way. It turns her on a little bit more than she was surprised at her reaction to this man being decapitated in front of him. As Rhett saves her life and his own. And they sprint off into the jungle, jump off a waterfall, and kind of float down the river. So they make it out of the cult, kill the cult leader, kill a bunch of the cult members, but really more importantly, identify kind of where their hideout is, which may have been their core mission of like, you get us in there, drop the receiver, we'll fly in the Phantom Jets and blow them to Kingdom Come. All this sounds very illegal. That's not your job, Rhett. Just get down there and put the receiver in the cave.
I could just kill them all myself.
Right, exactly. Which, again, he does a pretty good job of doing that, too. But, that's how they escape from the cult, John.
And as we fade into Act 3, I'd like to believe that we even see Major Truffle wading in the water behind them. But we'll find out when we come back in just a second.
Let's see where this is all going. We begin the third act.
Okay, so Act 3, this is what we've all been waiting for, the Predator Protocol. We just jumped out of a waterfall from a cult fight. And
yes, we did.
Kind of like, catch me. Okay, so Act 3, as it opens up, what is happening? Rhett and Mox, are they just now, like, lost in the woods? Do they have...
Exactly. That's it. I mean, I think we just kind of start at the start of Act 3. All hope is lost. They have no supplies. They have no exit plan. They don't know really where they are. They got tossed and turned through a waterfall and some rapids for a while. They're separated somehow Rhett's able to swim upstream in white water and grab Mox. He's swimming above the water like an alligator, using his legs as a tail.
Swimming his
How does he do it? Physically impossible what you do, Rhett. You have no idea yet. So Rhett and Mox are clearly bonding over this whole I almost died, but then I didn't think. Also, a man's attractive when he's a cult leader for a little bit. Let's admit that. So even if Mox thinks she's above it, for a little while she's like, oh, the throne, the headdress, something. I'm feeling something.
Ripped a man's head off.
I'm a captive, right? I'm covered in blood again. It's hot, and gross out.
Nothing sexier than a humid jungle heat.
That's right. That hot, wet heat, as they call it. But so they get out of the river, they're in the jungle, they're trying to dry off. I imagine it's nighttime, and this is what will follow is something akin to the scene in The Lion King when they're rolling around, Nala and Simba falling for each other, and Elton John.
Is that what they did?
I think, yeah, they're rolling around in the bushes.
They did have a cub, didn't they?
They did.
Did they?
There's There's an Elton John song. It's a great song. Maybe that exact same song we'll play here. Can You Feel the Love Tonight?
Perfect.
But they start falling for each other. Mox finally sees Rhett for his awesomeness. And maybe she moves fast. She's all business, even when it comes to playing around in the bedroom. There's no time for foreplay. She could be picked up and dropped into another country to save the world at any minute. So she's used to moving quick. And Rhett, admits he likes to take things slow. But I think once again, Mox will win him over with some awesome, show me how you death roll Rhett in your birthday suit.
Perfect. She says it with no Russian accent at all.
At all. That's right. Nope.
I am also fluent in English.
Right. So fluent. Sounds like an English man, an American man.
So he gives in?
He does. So he gives in because, again, he wanted this in the first place, and you never know when love's going to strike. Maybe it's in the barracks, maybe it's in the jungle or a helicopter or whatever.
Those are the only three places, though, really.
That's what you got to always be ready. With your helmet on,
You're safe on the toilet, mostly.
So they're lost. They don't know how they're getting out of here. They're not thinking about that. They're just making sweet, sweet love in the moonlight on a bed of, leaves and surrounded by fireflies. It's very romantic and awesome. And loud. So I think
nice.
the way that they get out of the jungle is their lovemaking is so ferocious and loud, John, that a local cattle farmer hears them thinking it's a cow in trouble and rushes to help. And then they get to use the farmer to get out of there. But I think as they're making love or, all this stuff, we could have, maybe this is too much, but maybe it's revealed or kind of implied that Rhett really hasn't had many women. So maybe he doesn't need to be experienced in the bedroom. He's a natural, but he just maybe doesn't do it with his hands. Who does? And so he could be standing there at one moment with his hands close to his chest like a baby Tyrannosaurus, and a bulb clicks in Mox's head, and something subconscious happens where at the end of their third round of lovemaking, as the farmer gets closer and they can see his lantern in the field, and the other cows nearby, it's like, took it out of here. She says something like, I see why the boys in the base called you a dinosaur. Because you're a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus. And he's like, yeah! And makes that exact noise.
That's
yells.
exactly how a Tyrannosaurus sounded when they were making love.
That's it. Right at the happy moment. Or maybe he's more chicken-like. They did become chickens after all. Oh, and as another little sprinkle, it'd be cool to see as they're leaving the jungle with this farmer, half naked. But he doesn't care. He's a cow farmer. And we see that ship again. He's half naked too. He's just walking through the woods. It's nice to work alone. And
these two giant, beautiful people,
right? Sweaty at the moonlight,
covered in sweat and mud, covering up her nipples only,
and his nipples. But then we see that ship again, observing Rhett in some intimate moments. But that cloaked predator ship is off in the distance, but close up to see what's going on, just to keep sprinkling that story along.
So that's a good time to kind of get us some resolution. What is happening to the dinosaur cult people? Like, are they still practicing today? We know they're not really part of the regular Predator movie, but give me like a little wrap up for them.
Yeah, I think like so they were a bit of an international network, but Rhett got to them and was able to shut it all down before it got too big to handle. So they're not around anymore. Rhett did his job, got the coordinates to the CIA, took care of the rest. That could be a cool opportunity to have Dillon, Carl Weathers' character from Predator, show up and as kind of the CIA lead, and we see him walking around with the cult leader cave where all the dino carvings are. And he dismisses it all. What a bunch of baloney. And also, I think maybe this isn't clear, so we'll say it now. Like in my mind, maybe the dinosaur in quote drawings are even like drawings of predators that have been here in the past. Maybe a group of predators that lived in harmony with the humans. They can look a dinosaur-y, predator-y. Again, this is a carving in a wall that's 3,000 years old.
Maybe they trained up humans.
Sure.
Maybe they were the first ones to show us how to throw a rock at each other.
Right. Wanted to make predators that could come back in 3,000 years of training. Right, to go get on.
I'll come back when you're in your in the 80s.
Right. It's just like a human throwing a bunch of salmon or a bunch of sunfish in a pond. I'll come back in 3 summers with a bunch of bass in here. Yeah. And I'll be able to eat y'all. So, yeah, that's the Predators playing the long game. But anyway, Dillon dismisses this one a bunch of baloney, but basically tells, like, Rhett, like, you did a good job. You can put your minigun down, take a break for a bit. Right? He still has it in his hand. That's right. He's almost walking around with it in his hand. Whether he's shooting it or not, he just has it in his hand.
You never know when you're going to need it.
All the time. The most inconvenient weapon.
Larger than a checked luggage bag.
Warm up for a minute. You guys don't move. It takes about 30 seconds.
I can spin it myself.
Oh my God. But yeah, tells him basically go take a break, go chill. When we need you, Rhett, we'll call, and you better pick up. God damn it! And so Rhett says, I will. And walks off, throws Mox over his shoulder and walks away.
Which she permits.
Yeah, she's all
otherwise she wouldn't make it over his shoulder.
That's true.
So this will take us into kind of the wrap up, the final act of this. Like, how do we get from Major Truffle, who sadly didn't get enough respect in this movie. But how do we get from like Major Truffle, dinosaur people, Cambodia, Red Dong? How do we get that to take us into what's building up to be the Predator mission that we all love?
So something like this, where we see Rhett and Mox, and let's say they're in like the Philippines or something. They're enjoying some time off now in a shack by the beach. They keep having to move hotels and shacks though because they're making
loud noise,
right? Loud, obscene behavior.
Sounds like Major Truffle's in there.
Maybe he is. Just handing them bottles of water when they need it or whatever, reminding them to eat a banana, hydrate. You guys are cramping up.
Give me 2 frozen bananas.
Whatever you do with them, you do what you want to do. And we still see that cloaked ship in the distance observing them doing. Now this ship is just being a pervert, but still wants to see what the sexual Tyrannosaurus is doing all the time, what makes him great. But I think as a fun little wrinkle, maybe as one of the last kind of shots of the movie, is we zoom in on like into the Pentagon, a computer on the Pentagon, and now we're kind of like caught up with where Predator begins. And that movie begins with like CIA agent that's, or I think it was a local senator that crashed in the jungle. A covert op team tried to go save them. They all died mysteriously. Some spoiler, Predator killed them. And so Arnold's team goes in to rescue them. So that's like happening right now at the Pentagon. We'll see that by, hearing people talk, or the team's ready to go get the, here's some scuttlebutt that we can put that together. But we zoom in on an old school computer. It's the computer's the size of a room, but the screen is smaller than any computer you've ever seen. Turns itself on, and for a moment we see like the DOS open up, MS-DOS open up, and then Predator language shoots across it, and then up pops Rhett's file that just sent in his pictures there, and it says something like "good candidate for," we'll call it Operation Hot Bush, location Central American jungle.
It is the 80s,
and it's hot down there. So again, once again implying that maybe the Predator selected Arnold's team for him, built up of the best killers the Army had to offer, and so the Predator wanted them all to come to him in the jungle.
So this whole movie is not only the origin story of Blaine from the Predator, but like it's taking us right into
Yeah.
the like this
Yes,
whole movie is
100%.
just like Rhett's last hurrah.
Right, which is why he also leads with I'm a sexual Tyrannosaurus, because he just got called that like a week earlier, and it's living in his head rent free. How would it not if some beautiful 6 foot tall Russian lady called you a sexual Tyrannosaurus when you made love in the jungle? That's your whole identity now.
Finally outgrew the
Right.
gator roll, the
Right.
counterclockwise reversal. He's got a new legend.
The new legend. Oh my god. Oh, this is amazing. And I'm having a blast, John.
So what about post credits? I love putting these in. It's my favorite part of the one Marvel movie I've seen. Any give me some like a post credit fun kind of
Yes,
scene.
those scenes. It could be. I mean, it could be anything from Major Truffle running for president, for Congress. He's also a hero. And oinks his way into the polls. Gosh, I don't know what else. What do you?
He's already pulling at
Yeah.
6%. Before we get to the actual Predator mission,
Yeah.
this or that for Rhett, does he
Okay.
write a goodbye letter to Valentina using like gunpowder and spit to write it or something like that, or does he host a single Blaine style one man wet t-shirt contest for the village that now worships him as their fertility god? He's gone full sexual Tyrannosaurus.
Oh my god, I wish he could do both, but he would probably would say goodbye to Valentina Mox. He has to. It was too emotional, too intense, their time together. And again, if he goes back to that village, he may never leave. He's got a mission to get to. That wet t-shirt contest would turn into 3 weeks of
That's true.
village sex.
And you always remember who took your V card.
That's right.
The sexual Tyrannosaurus has had one partner, which isn't demasculating.
That's right.
It's very noble.
Indeed.
Okay, so getting into kind of like what happens afterwards. Again, the carnage, the seduction, the very unlicensed use of weaponry. What ends up happening to Valentina? I just want to know, like, when you get done watching a movie, like I want
Right.
to know what happens to Valentina.
Good question, John. I mean, she could, and she's been changed forever by the experience with our sexual Tyrannosaurus. Maybe she's on the hunt for something that comes close, can't find it, so she joins an elite roller derby team.
Yeah.
Or founds one and calls them the Thunder Lizards, and just a way to block him out. She's
By beating up other girls
Exactly
on the
right.
rink.
That's right, because no other partner could satisfy her like
No hands.
like no hands. Tyranno man.
He did it all without touching me.
It was amazing. I was floating in the jungle. He grabbed me, and I saw the future.
What about the infallible government? Do they ever admit to like why they sent him in?
Nope. I think they just deny. They reclassify the whole thing as some wildlife rehab accident. We tried to reintroduce pigs into the into the forest. It didn't work. And then get rid of all the footage. Maybe there's one infomercial about tactical cargo shorts that come out they can use, but that's it. It's all gone.
The footage is used for an infomercial. I love it. Okay, and you said this early on, so I'm going to put you back on the spot.
Right.
We called him Rhett because Rhett challenged us to make this beer. That's how
Yes.
Beer Me That movie works. But in The Predator, his name is Blaine, right?
Yeah.
So just help tie that up.
And this is easy. It's a whole, witness relocation thing, or the government Rhett's got too much heat on him. There's a whole country that wants to have sex with him. What do? We need him. We can't disappear him. We can just change his name. And they do that. So that's why his name is Blaine in Predator and not Rhett. They just needed Rhett's legend was,
Rhett was
too
too
great.
big.
Too big in many ways.
Calm
and
him down with Blaine.
That's right. Blaine is a new guy who doesn't have the entire continent trying to jump into his pants.
And what about sexual Tyrannosaurus? Like, he can't hold on to that either. Does anyone else in the service try and make that
boy.
their call sign?
One guy will try, some Navy SEAL probably with a podcast and his own supplement line, but he'll never be seen from again. Last location, he was swallowed whole by a suspiciously muscular reptile with one missing tooth.
Yeah,
At a
Drago.
GNC in Louisiana somewhere. So that's right. Drago comes back and chomps down on anyone besmirching Rhett's good name.
I gotta say, Harrison, when they voted for sexual Tyrannosaurus, I wanted the fool, But
Yeah, right, me too.
now that we're done with this, it was a hell of a lot of fun. And also
know.
leading into the Predator you did a great job, man.
I love The Predator. It's one of my favorite movies. So this was cool. I know as soon as we had this in the Fast Five, I was like, well, there's no way they're not going to vote for this. I wish we had more of a movie idea. But once again, we found one in here, and it was a cool 80s action movie, I thought. We'll recap more of it next week, but we did it. We did it, John.
There's a movie idea in every beer. Except for Narragansett. That's already been made. It's called Jaws.
It's called Jaws. We're still enjoying it, Gansets. Maybe you guys had some too. Let us know if you did. And yeah, come back next week for Fast Five Mania Magic. But until then,
peace.
Punch.
Give me your truffle pig.
Truffle pig. General Dong. Major Dong.
Give me your red dong.
Your red dong.
Okay.